Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. Again, talking with head wrestling coach O.T. Johnson. And Coach, we talked a little bit about the heavyweights, Marquin Hill doing well and winning his first tournament and keeping that streak alive. And generally speaking, the heavyweight class seems to be one where you have a lot of depth. Now, I know you have a lot of guys at all the weight classes, but at the 285 heavyweight class, you've got three guys who are all very talented, all interchangeable with one another, between him, Chris Giddens, and James Della Riva. So what determines who gets the nod on a particular day, particularly in that weight class?
I mean, mostly we have that first month and we wrestle just all open tournaments, and it kind of determines who's going to be the guy as far as the first couple of duels, and then basically kind of sets for all of our weight classes. Where you talk about heavyweight, kind of sets the lineup for all of our matches. And you know, at the beginning of the year, Chris was kind of had the upper hand since he was doing well, and James was out with an injury. Marquin kind of still has some kinks he had to get out, and he lost to Chris in multiple tournaments, so it kind of put him at the bottom of the barrel there. And James and Chris, it kind of been battling, going back and forth. One guy would do well one tournament, the other guy would do well the other tournament, so it's kind of back and forth. And you know, really just we're fortunate not to have had more than one duel where Chris was the guy, but then we had a multiple duel down in Newberry where, you know, we kind of gave them all an opportunity to compete. You know, James here, Chris here, and then Mark Wynn there. So leading into the regional tournament right now, unfortunately, James has had a pretty severe injury to his knee that basically can't return in time to compete. So Chris has the upper hand, as Chris has beaten a lot of opponents that, you know, have beaten Mark Wynn this far. So Chris does have the upper hand as far as heading to the regionals, and I don't see any reason why that's going to change.
Okay. Well, every time I talk to you, Coach, we mentioned Daniel Owenby and Mike Williams. They're both ranked #1 in the country in their weight classes. And how dominant are these two guys? I mean, I was sort of joking with you off camera that Daniel seems to play with his opponent a little bit like cat and mouse and knock him down and see, just almost practicing on guys. And then Mike just does it so effortlessly. I mean, talk about the dominance of these two guys.
Yeah, I think Daniel being to the national tournament, placing third last year, and, you know, seeing that he was that close to winning it, I think sparked a little fire underneath him. And you know, he doesn't want to be sitting in the stands, you know, you know, during the final. So I think that's one thing that's really pushed him this season to work harder and not to take any match for granted. You know, granted if he's undefeated or not undefeated going into the national tournament, I think he's really just taking it one match at a time and envision every match as his last match. And you know, that's an approach that we try to preach to these guys, that hey, train as if this is your last match and compete as if it's your last match, because you never know what could happen. I know that's might not be a glamorous way to look at it, but you gotta look at every opponent as a national championship opponent. And you know, those two guys have really exemplified that type of philosophy as far as just competing every day as if it's the last day. And you got to take that philosophy. Hopefully, it helps you in your future life.
Well, you've got a big match coming up on Tuesday against Limestone. This is a team that's given us fits over the last couple of years. So what's the game plan for Limestone, and how do you avoid the upset again?
Well, you got to go out there and worry about your match and your match only. You know, it's kind of like that fly that just won't go away. You know, the last couple of times we've wrestled those guys, we've been the more dominant team, but somehow, some way, you know, we just fall asleep, and by the time we wake up, boom, we're behind the 8 ball. So, you know, it's going to take everybody going out there and wrestling their match and not worrying about what's happened before them and what's going to happen after them. And we just got to just go out there and put them down. You know, for some reason, every year they find a way to just sneak in and get the job done. But, you know, I think we're taking care of that this year.
Well, good, Coach. It's not going to happen this year. Let's hope. That's all the time that we have for you, Coach. We appreciate you joining us. And when we come back after the break, we're going to learn a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes at the Black and Gold Report.